What is up, guys? Gale right here. Welcome back to the YouTube channel once again for another video of Danmachi Memoria Freeze, and today we're going to be talking about the extra stage, the piercing eye. This one is a challenging stage, so be sure to stick around and see for yourselves as to how I managed to clear it, and maybe you guys can get some idea of yourselves to see how you guys can potentially clear it to get that 100 iris. Now, for the record, this is a post-commentary video, and on top of that, this is not an S-clear video. My aim in this video is to show you guys the best way possible to get the 100 iris from this specific extra stage and get it to you guys without having to worry and, you know, go through the process of trying to repeat and rinse the stage, but for just trying to get what is a very difficult S-clear. Now, of course, one more thing to add on is that I have done a video on the first extra stage, which you guys can go check out. It was uploaded a couple of hours ago, actually, at the time of this recording. For you guys, it'll probably be like 12 hours before this video came out. So be sure to give it some love, of course, and see for yourselves as to how I managed to do on that stage. You guys can see I got an A clear right there. But yeah, thank you guys once again so much for watching this video. Of course, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and of course, comment down below as well. What do you guys use for these stages? What did you guys end up using? Did you guys clear it as well? And did you use some free-to-play options? I'm very curious to see what you guys have in store for me down below in the comments below. Of course, now let's talk about what we did for this specific stage. This specific stage is very challenging. Like I said, it's not an easy task at all, and this is the team I ran. Basically, this team is very similar to my Record Buster team. Instead of Ali, we have Hestia. And of course, this isn't a perfect team. I think if I had the perfect team, you know, certain assists being replaced, like the Argonaut from Data Live did the Data Live collab, instead of the season 2 Apollo that we have under Finn, maybe +5 Felice, maybe some adjustments in my turn order, I think we could have probably tried and probably gotten the 12 turn restriction cleared, but it didn't seem likely. So I decided, you know what, let's go through with this and see for ourselves what we can do here now. Okay, so let's get into it, shall we? The setup is the same as yesterday as well, if you watched that video. We're using Glorious Anklets for stun res. The poison res is something that I wanted to I was thinking about taking, but I decided not to go for it. Actually, I did make one change here. I completely forgot that I made this change. In order for more security, I decided to go for this eye specifically here. This eyes, what she does on her first skill is basically gives you some reduction in damage received basically from enemies when they're doing their AoE attacks. And this guy, he consistently does his AoE attacks, so that's what we decided to go for. I decided to chuck on a revolving amulet. I think I went for a revolving amulet instead. It doesn't really matter, it's fine. Physical M, they're just there to get out of there immediately. Of course, one thing to note as well is that because my eyes are so weak, I pretty much was like, you know what, she's probably gonna die. That means this clear is most likely gonna be a B clear. Alright, so now we're into the fight. First things first is I just go for the usual setup. Now, instead of using Flash Leap first here, I decided to go for skill 3. I wanted to ensure I survived this first turn as much as possible, because I know this guy will go for the kill if I don't do that. So that's what I did, and I went straight into it. Okay, so that was pretty much it. We get some hits on. Obviously, we're tanking really well there. You guys can see we're getting only triple digits as well. It's not doing too much. We're okay in that regards. Now for this turn, we go for luminescence, and we switch back to just using the normal strategies. And of course, because this is a single target enemy, we're using the single target attacks of our characters. I was gonna say of our enemies, but that doesn't make any sense. We're using the single target attacks of our characters, which works really well here because it just allows us to now also not worry too much, unlike yesterday where we were concerned about the MP, so we had to micromanage that. Here, we don't have to worry too much about the MP because, of course, Lazar's single target, he gives us MP, so does Haruhime's single target attack, right? Now, once Haruhime comes in, we immediately go for Sakuna, and we just keep going from here. Okay, so right now, the main thing to note as well is that our enemy has only inflicted Dark Res down on us, which is good. It's not too troublesome. Right now, it doesn't make much of a difference. It, of course, gives us a lot of damage dealt, but it's not too bad. Now, he also does a specific attack here, which you guys can see. I've rewinded the video a little bit here to show you guys exactly what the move is, the name of the move, so you guys know what it is. Extinction Crash. He does this on turn 3 and another turn as well, where he basically cuts your HP in half effectively, and he inflicts poison as well. So effectively, this sort of a turn is where you're supposed to take advantage of getting some heals going, so that you don't just literally live on like 500 600 HP because of the poison and the half HP he just removes basically. So you want to be a little bit careful about that. Turn 3 is a very risky turn basically as well in this phase. I would say turn 3 and a couple of other turns that I will mention throughout is some turns you should be looking out for in terms of like, okay, this is where things could go wrong, right? And you want to make sure you survive. So yeah. All right, from here on out, it's the same old. I don't think I've adjusted anything here. For the next 2 turns, basically, we're doing the same thing. No changes at all. We're just going to boost our special arts gauge, and on top of that, get some damage off on this guy. So far, turn 4, we've brought him down to about 80%, 75% of his health, which is great. I would say more so 80%, and we're doing well so far. I think this was a pretty healthy run, of course. No issues whatsoever. Everybody's doing well here. And now, of course, if you guys can see, I think he did this in the previous turn. Yes, on turn 4 he effectively does world rending howl, which increases his magic resistance, his physical resistance, his strength, and magic. Okay, so I kind of ignore it for this turn. For turn 4, I've ignored it completely, right? I wasn't too concerned about it. And then we go on to turn 5 and we do the same thing here. Now on Death's Destruction, he inflicts STR down on us, which means our attacks are lowered. It's fine. Again, this is one more turn that I was just like, all right, we just got to keep going and go from there. Now, one thing you could do here in order to help you as a player, which I didn't necessarily do, but I think could have helped me out a lot in terms of dealing more damage, is instead of using Fianna's skill 1 here, I probably should have used her skill 2 in order to get the buffs on the enemy down faster, because what she does is she decreases the amount of turns the enemy status buffs are active, and also she also reduces the amount of turns your status debuffs are active, which allows you to basically get rid of those pesky debuffs as fast as possible. Now, I didn't do that necessarily. I let it be on him for a period of time. I probably should have thought about it in hindsight, and it probably would have meant that I probably could have cleared this a lot faster because, well, one, he doesn't have his buffs active anymore, or he doesn't have his buffs active anymore, and on top of that, our debuffs are have gone away, right? I could have probably done this a lot better. Now, it is what it is. It is what it is. I've done that. Now on turn 6, what happens here is he uses world rending howl anyways here, so it wouldn't have made too much of a difference in all honesty. But here for turn 6, I decided to use my special arts, because the next turn, at the start of turn 7 or at the end of turn 6, he will launch a special arts, which is going to hurt a lot if you don't manage to remove his STR and magic buffs at all. On top of that, I used Haruhime's special arts as well in order to get the higher physical and magic resistance, as well as just more damage out of me. So it was very much something I needed to do. Now, when he uses his special arts, he does something a little funky. Like, for example, in the last one, of course, on turn 7, the enemy, whenever he used his ability, he removed our buffs, right? He removed our buffs, so we had to stack it back up. Here, the enemy removes all of his debuffs, so your job as a player is to start inflicting the same debuffs again. So you want to use Lazar's skill 3, you want to use Finn's skill 2. Outside of that, Haruhime and Fianna will go by the same route effectively. They will do the same thing as per. There's nothing for us to worry about in terms of them. Our job is to just make sure that Finn and Lazar get the debuffs off. Now, here I did something a little bit funky because I just felt I wanted to just get some security in case I felt in terms of like healing. So I decided to go for Sakuna. In hindsight, I probably shouldn't have gone for it because we anyways were getting healing from the additional actions from Haruhime's special arts, right? But I was just like, I want to be a little bit more secure. Let me go for it. From here on out, it's the same old till turn 9 and turn 10, I should say, where things will be adjusted again and we will be using something a little bit different. But yeah, this event was a little bit challenging. He had a lot of HP. I think that was the big thing here. All right, so now I don't think you guys noticed necessarily, but when he launched the special arts, he also inflicted physical and magic res down on you as the player. So that is something to keep note of for later turns. So let's go back to turn 8, basically where we were. Nothing for us to worry about here right now at this point in time, but just something for you guys to keep an eye out on what I mentioned there when it came to, you know, him inflicting the magic res and physical res down on us. So we do the same old here. Our physical and magic res down have gone away, so we're fine here. He reduces our STR, he gets his STR and match back up. So now here what we do is we use Finn and Lazar's special arts. Now the buffs from Haruhime are already up, so for us we don't have to worry too much about that, right? So we're a-okay in terms of that. And now we're on turn 10. This is specifically turn 10. We use our special arts to get it out of the way, right? This is turn 10. We've done it, we're good to go, and we have basically dealt a lot of damage, right? I don't think we're gonna get to turn 12 or clear within turn 12 at this point. I was thinking that because look at it, we're still just under 50% HP, about 40-45% HP, right, on him. There's just no way, there's absolutely no shot we're gonna be able to do that, right? We're obviously getting more damage now because Finn has buffed himself up as well through his special arts and whatnot, but yeah, it is what it is. So now we get the special arts again from the opponent. He uses his ultimate. We're just gonna watch through it again and see for ourselves what happens here. Now this is where things get very spicy. All right, so now note again the physical and magic res down. You notice that, right? On top of that, he's obviously debuffed himself, he's removed all his debuffs, that is. So we do the same thing again with everybody, and here is where I start to think a little bit like I'm just there like 1 second, I want to just check how bad is it, right? So it's 2 turns down. You have the 50% STR, 50% magic down for 2 turns. You have the magic res, physical res down for 2 turns. The dark attribute res is also for 1 turn. So here I thought about it and I was like, let me have a look see on Finn first, because I was like, will this work? I was like, yes and no. I wasn't too confident in this, and it was a slow attack, right? So I was like, no, this is not what I want to do. No. And I went with and then I decided to look at all my units, and then I noticed this. Fianna does do what I said it does. So the foe's status buff and ally status debuff is -2 turns on Salvation Spear. So I knew this is what I wanted to do. This is the move I wanted to use. So that's what we did. Otherwise, the rest of them were the same. Of course, apply the debuffs now, and obviously Haruhime will just do the same old, where she basically does, you know, goes between Nigiri and Yaozu. And there we go. Now we're not taking too much damage here. We're still taking 700, 800, and then of course he does his his half HP basically removal there again on turn 11. So you want to be a bit careful about that, of course, right? This is another very risky situation. This is where things really tend to be a little bit more complex and a little bit more dangerous is the best way to put it, right? It becomes a lot more dangerous in this situation, so you want to be a little bit careful. But after this point on turn 12 is where things go normally, because the one thing to note is when the game wants you to clear within 12 turns, it will do anything to stop you from clearing it within 12 turns. So it launches the special arts, it does, you know, all the debuffs, the buffs and stuff like that. But once you get past the turn 12, it's normal. It doesn't do anything different. He literally does nothing, absolutely nothing. He literally will just do the normal attacks and go from there. So you don't have to worry post turn 12. Your objective as a player, if you want to get the iris only and not worry about the clearing conditions and stuff like that, right, is just try and get to turn 12, secure yourself till turn 12, and then you will be fine from there on. Of course, this is me a little showing off, of course. I think I probably could have cleared it before this turn as well. I could have cleared it on turn 14. I had the SA gauge and everything, but I wanted to be a bit more secure, so I decided to give it an extra turn, of course, at that point. Now, we of course get a B clear, as you guys can see here. We got the 100 iris, which was fantastic, and pretty much we had a good time with this event. I think that was a very challenging event for sure, and I decided to go to the guild shop just to see the or the mission tab just to see this. But this is what you get for clearing the 2 extra stages with an S clear, and it's just 5 Hero Light and a feat. And a feat doesn't do much apart from basically means you can show off to your friends and, you know, other players in the game saying that, oh, I managed to S twice clear the stage. So for me, that isn't worth it. Now, one thing I want to mention before we wrap up this video is if you are a new player to the game, or if you are a player that doesn't have the team that I have or other players have, one thing you can use to help yourself is the support tab. Now, if you click on support, it effectively does what, you know, any friend unit would do in any other gacha game, which means you can use that support tab to basically get a friend unit from your friends list or any randomers player unit as well. Now, when you're doing this, remember, it will always take the unit from the first slot basically of your friend. So for me, if you have me added as a friend, it would take Helga, which is not something you want. So make sure whenever you're planning on doing a run and you know somebody's team and you can contact them to make an adjustment, let them know to have a specific unit in the first slot. Of course, it just depends on what you have in your box and what you need specifically so that they can add it, kind of thing, right? But it comes in handy. Trust me, it is well worth using. I completely didn't recognize that that was there, in all honesty, so I just did it with my own team. But probably the only thing I would make an adjustment for is maybe if somebody had like a Finn with the Argonaut assist or something like that, right? That would be what I would use personally. But there you have it. Of course, that is the extra stage 2 clear, done and dusted. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like. Once again, subscribe to the channel for more Danmachi content, and I will see you guys later on. Bye bye, guys.